I think we're ready to get started. Hi, I'm Eileen. Welcome to the 16th annual Clusterbusters Patient Conference. This is our second year having a virtual conference, and it's still weird for us. We're still not great at this, but we're going to do our very best for you. So please be patient with us, and we'll be patient and try and help everybody through this. Um, in the past couple of weeks, I've cried a lot about not being able to have an in-person conference. It's a really strange thing for Bob and myself and all of the Clusterbusters team to not be able to be in person with people. Um, I was really angry about having to do this again, and just really frustrated with what's been going on in the world. And I know that everybody else is frustrated too. I've been tired, and a lot of times I've just wanted to quit. But this morning I got into the open chat and I got to say hello to people from all over the world. There's somebody here who is working in Laos right now. We have some people from Australia joining us, and they're joining us in the middle of the night. And if we didn't have a virtual conference, that wouldn't be possible. So I'm just feeling amazing about this opportunity to be with you all. And I just want to thank you so much for believing in Clusterbusters and being here and being a part of our organization. We love you guys so much, and we are going to do our best to continue to work as hard as we can for you, despite all of the frustrations and challenges we're facing right now. When I think about myself and how tired I am right now, I can't imagine how difficult it must be for a clusterhead to fight this monstrous disease every day. So, you guys are way more tired than I am, and I recognize that, and I think that you're amazing. This is my favorite community to be a part of because every one of you is an inspiration to me for what kind of a life to live, for how to overcome whatever challenges we have despite living with such a debilitating disease. So, really, thank you for being here. Um, I have a few announcements and things that I want to cover first. If you're here and you've logged in, then I'm really excited that you've managed to work through the technical aspects of logging into Socio. Again, if you're having any issues, we will help you. Just give us an email at conference@clusterbusters.org and we will work through it. Um, I also want to point out some aspects of our conference. We have an open chat that's going to be open all day Friday. It's going to be open all day Saturday, and it's going to be open all day Sunday. We might take some breaks to get some rest at night. So, that we might need to do that. But if somebody wants to take over hosting it, we'll leave it open as long as you want to. We have moderators in all of our sessions to make sure that your questions are answered. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Um, our sessions do have breaks, so please take note of that. The open chat will always be open, even during the breaks, even during the sessions. If you want to just hang out and chat with people rather than listening to the topics, that's okay. But we do encourage you to join us for all of the sessions because you're going to get some really great information about living with clusters. If you haven't yet done so, you can sign up for a safe room session, which is kind of like our support group sessions. You have been emailed the sign up for that. We'll be sending out a reminder about that. And I'll put that in the announcements section of Socio. So if you head over there, you will see the link. I'll also post it to the wall in Socio so that that'll be up for you. So sign up for a safe room session. If there aren't any more slots available for any of those sessions, put your name on the wait list. We will create more sessions, so nobody will be left out of that. Aw, Tom, it's so good to see you today. There's nowhere we'd rather you be. We love having you here. And so the other thing that I wanted to point out is that we're having trivia this evening. So come join us for that. We'll break up people up into teams randomly and we'll compete for who's got the most knowledge. It won't be me. but there are prizes for that as well. So we'll go over that a little bit later. I want to take some time to extend some thanks to some people that have helped to make this a possibility. We have a ton of volunteers who, like I said, are moderating our chats and stuff like that. So I want to really say thank you to all of the volunteers who have helped over the past few weeks to put this together, make it a reality. I also want to thank um, Michelle Crafasi. If you haven't met Michelle Crafasi yet, Michelle is Clusterbusters' newest team member. She is our part-time administrative assistant, but this conference would not have happened without her. So I really want to extend a thank you to her. I want to thank all of our speakers for lending their talents to us. We really appreciate everything that you're about to say, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy lives to be here to give information to all of these people. This wouldn't be a conference without you guys. Lastly, I want to thank our sponsors and supporters, the people who have donated money to Clusterbusters to make sure that we can do the work that we do, including this conference. It's invaluable. We love doing this work, but we cannot do it without the funds to do so. So I want to thank everybody who has donated and also our sponsors, Eli Lilly and Company, Suruvia Life Sciences, ElectroCore, Praxis, and 2 Fun Guys. Really wanna thank you. And in addition to adding Michelle to our team, I do want to make the announcement that Mary Franklin, who's the former director of the National Headache Foundation, has graciously agreed to join our board of directors. And we are just so excited to have her years of knowledge and experience added to our team. So I just want to give a warm welcome to Mary Franklin. Thank you for joining us. And she's here in our meeting today, and she'll join us on screen a little later in the program. So thank you all again for being here. And now I am ready to turn this party over to Bob Wold, who's going to tell you all about everything that's going on in Clusterbusters. And if you don't know Bob, Bob Wold is the founder and former president of Clusterbusters. He is now our executive director. He formed this organization based on a premise that he wanted to make sure that people with cluster headache have all of the information they need to treat their disease and to be supported. And he has worked tireless for more than 20 years to make Clusterbusters what it is today. And he's a real hero, and he's my personal hero, and I just love him. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much, Eileen. I appreciate that. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, Andrew, if you want to start my slides, we'll be good to go here. I'll get started. Oh, okay, you can stop flipping. Okay, so I'll start there. So anyways, thank you very much, Eileen, for that introduction. I do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll get through this. So welcome everybody to, as Eileen said, our 16th annual conference and second virtual one. Hopefully by next year, we'll all be able to get back together again in person. Go ahead and flip the slide there. Okay, so once again, I would want to also thank our sponsors. I mean, they really came through for us, especially this year, because what we've always done with all of our sponsor dollars is be able to expand our services to the community um, and increase our outreach. So um, what they were able to allow us to do this year was offer this as a free conference to everybody rather than having to pay for all of this. um, these things um, are not inexpensive to put on. They take an awful lot of work, but they're also pretty expensive to be able to do and be able to reach out to everybody and put on a decent show. So because of our sponsors, we were able to make this a free event and be able to reach a lot of people that normally would not be able to attend one of our conferences. So there's, probably twice as many people here for this virtual event as we're able to get into an in-person event. So, and I don't know what the total count is, but I know that, as Eileen mentioned, I mean, we are all over the world. So we'll let you know at some point how many countries we were able to reach. So, um, anyways, go ahead and flip the slide there. Also, there's an awful lot of people that donate directly to Clusterbusters and have really done this from the very beginning. And starting 20 years ago, when people started donating $5 and $10 to Clusterbusters, that's really what was able to allow us to build this community and reach out to people and expand. And we've always taken those $5 and $10 donations, appreciated them every bit as much as we appreciate the support from some of our bigger sponsors. This community was really built by um, the people in the community and their $5 and $10 donations. And it's made a big difference. The one thing that I've always said was, the community is what Clusterbusters is. I mean, we just put the platform out there for the community to be able to get together to do their work. It's not just the volunteers and the board of directors. It's the people that show up and that are here today. Um, that is the community, and we just really offer the platform for the community to do its work. Um, and most of the amazing work by this community is done at 3 o'clock in the morning on a one-to-one session between two members of the community who have never met. But I've seen it time and time again where that 5 or 10 minute connection at 3 o'clock in the morning saves somebody's life. So it is the entire community that makes us what we are. So thank you all for being here. So go ahead and flip. So what's the scoop? I'm going to let you know what's going on, what's been moving forward, and how we've been growing. The 4 pillars we've got here: the community itself. We're building the research that we're involved in and that we're always pushing for. I mean, that's really what started Clusterbusters, was to increase research in the cluster headaches and headache disorders, and it's really really blown up since I started this 20 years ago, and there was very little research being done on clusters specifically then, and there's really a lot going on now. We're growing, moving forward on our advocacy and awareness programs and education, which is ongoing all the time. I was in the open chat earlier, and education is such a big deal for us. I think one of the biggest parts is educating the medical community about cluster headaches and what treatments work, what treatments don't work, and making sure that they know that we're out here. Diagnosis has always been a huge issue for us, getting people diagnosed properly and quickly. I mean, there's no reason why somebody goes 4 years or 8 years being misdiagnosed. So education is really one of the core values of Clusterbusters. So take a look and see what some of the things we've been doing here. Go ahead and flip that. So recently, I know everybody's on lockdown, but we've still been able to do a few things, keeping the community together and working as an organization. Ashley put on a great 5K again this year. Had people from all over the world that were out walking um, in small pods or by themselves or with their families. And it was great to see everybody be able to get out and get together and do that and raise some important funding for the research projects that we have going on. And I'll touch a little bit more on those in a little while as I get through this. Um, the other thing that happened this year, um, and I know that a lot of you were jealous of this, but we were able to pull it together a camping trip um, a couple of months ago, I think it is now, out in Virginia, and um, it was incredible for us to be there. And it was like a mini conference, and the exact same thing happened there that happens at our in-person conferences. Um, the old timers that were there, some of us, 10, 15, 20 years, 5 years, immediately took to the new people that were arriving that had never met another person with cluster headaches before. And this community really did its magic. And um, it was an incredible get together. And it was really nice to be able to actually sit there and watch some of the interactions for me. And I know Eileen also, I mean, when we're at these in-person conferences and there's 200 people there, um, we're all pretty busy running things and getting things lined up and getting ready for the next presentation or the next meal. And we end up missing out on a lot of the best stuff that really happens at our conferences. And that is the interaction between um, the people that have been around for a while and the new people. And to see them join the family, you can see from that picture, I mean, we even have a family dog. And um, it was quite an event to see. And I'm sure that we'll be doing more of these. And as soon as this conference is over, I think Eileen is going to be working on the next camping trip. So we'll get more to that. So um, it was an incredible experience. And we hope to be able to do some more of these smaller events and around different parts of the country and the world when we're allowed to start traveling again and get together in smaller groups also. So go ahead and flip. So as you can see here, this is a current list of research that is going on currently. Um, a lot of these Clusterbusters is directly involved in. Some of it we're helping to fund, some of it we're advising. Um, what has really been great for our community anyways is that a lot of this research that's going on now, they are all really involving the patient community itself, which is a huge deal for us to talk to these research institutions, the different doctors that are involved, and let them know the issues that the patients have, um, what really is involved in cluster headaches, the differences between being chronic and episodic. Those two are really two completely separate entities. Most of the things that work for chronic people don't work for episodics, and most of the things that work for episodics don't work for people that are chronic. And that's one of the things that we're able to help educate these research institutions and doctors about those types of differences, so that when they're putting these research projects together, they understand what it is that they're trying to deal with and what it is they're trying to help. Um, and so if different parts of the body and brain are working differently between chronics and episodics, um, this is the level that needs to know that. The researchers that are looking for better treatments need to know these types of things, and we appreciate them allowing the patients to have a voice in all of these different research projects. So currently we have research going on at Yale and some other um, institutions on psilocybin for both clusters and migraine. We have the same thing going on with BOL 148. They're looking at clusters and migraine and other things, other headache disorders. And the more that expands into possibly helping other headache disorders, that's going to help push our research. So it's really getting exciting on what's happening with those studies with the psilocybin and the BOL 148. I can touch a little bit more on those a little bit later on also, on where we're at. We have a grant to write up 4 new journal articles based on that international survey that Clusterbusters and Dr. Larry Shore put together. And they're going to be touching on some really important areas for cluster headaches and the community itself. Looking at things like pediatric clusters, where we need to let the medical profession know that people as young as 4 years old or 6 years old or 12 years old get cluster headaches, and it's a rather large group that get them. So we hope to be able to have those articles out soon. They're being worked on right now. Talked about other headache disorders, Sankt and Suna, which are very similar to cluster headaches in many ways, but just like there's differences between chronic and episodic, Sankt and Suna are a little bit different. Um, very rarely researched at all. I mean, there's still even some discussion whether or not Sankt and Suna are 2 different headache disorders, or if they are one, just with some little differences like chronic and episodic clusters. So something like that, the research is so early on this. I mean, they aren't even sure about the diagnosis criteria yet. So we're really early in on things like that. There's a research project going on the D3 anti-inflammatory for cluster headaches going on. You'll be hearing more about that this weekend. There's other work going on all over the world. There's work going on with psilocybin and chronic clusters in Denmark, LSD for cluster headache in Switzerland. That's been going on for quite a while. The ketamine and magnesium for cluster headache, that's going on in France. Circadian changes in the hypothalamic activity, that's in Switzerland. They're looking at another one of the CGRPs at Diamond Headache Clinic in Chicago. And they're even looking at Botox for clusters in Germany. So this research is really expanding a lot in a lot of different areas and all over the world. And almost all of this research has been pushed by patient organizations all over the world. I know there are a lot of them in Europe, and they've done a lot of great work getting research advanced in Europe. So we're coming at this from a lot of different angles here. There's the question, what is BOL 148? BOL 148 is a derivative of LSD, but they've changed the molecule so that it isn't a hallucinogenic um, um, treatment. There used to be one on the market that was pulled off that some of us used to use quite effectively. It was called Sansert, methosergide, which was also a modified LSD molecule. But there were quite a few side effects if it wasn't properly used. But that was something that was used every day. But the market on it got so small that the manufacturer even stopped making it. So it's not even available anymore. And those people that it was helping were getting a lot of great help with it. BOL 148 is a little bit different, and it's not taken every day. It's taken the same way that psilocybin or LSD is taken, with hopes of breaking the cycle. So hopefully you only need to take it once or twice for that cycle. It's been around for a while now, and it's been very slow getting this thing moved, and these research projects take a lot of money and a lot of resources to pull together and get started. And BOL 148 being new, although it had been around for a long time, it was actually used as a placebo in other trials back in the 50s and 60s. Um, but all of that old test data is not acceptable to the FDA, so it needs to be started off from scratch. Um, all the safety studies and all those other things that need to be done before it can end up in a clinical trial. And all of that work is being done right now, trying to get it set up for a clinical trial. So um, that's what BOL 148 is. So, okay, let's flip script here a little bit. So on awareness that and some of the recent media that's been out there, we've had several really good articles that came out in pretty good sized publications this year. There was one in the New York Times by Tom Zeller. Catherine Ellison, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning author, wrote up a couple of really good articles about cluster headaches um, and about the cluster headache community, and got a lot of really great press for the entire community and cluster headaches, and just adds to um, our awareness programs and education, and trying to educate people on what's going on, um, and the help that the community needs. Um, the last one on this list there, the SciTech Global presentation. Emmanuel Schindler from Yale and myself gave a presentation to this group a while ago, um, and I don't know if everybody has seen what's been going on in at least the psychedelic treatment world, but it's really exploding in all sorts of different ways on a lot of different conditions that are presently in clinical trials and getting close to approvals. Um, this has brought a lot of money into the research facilities for treatments that psychedelics may or may not work for. And we were able to give a presentation to all of the largest players that are involved in starting these new companies and pouring all of these millions of dollars into research. And we were able to get the cluster headache community out in front of everybody that is working on all of these things. So it was really a pretty big deal. Um, there's always a lot of articles out there on treating depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and a lot of other things. Um, and Clusterbusters is always working hard to make sure that cluster headaches are always also part of those discussions and moving this research forward. And you can see where the previous list where it listed all of the different research that's going forward. So we're really making great strides with that. And it was great to be able to go in there and put our footprint in that race to finding better treatments for a lot of people. So go ahead and switch screens. So our advocacy work, I know a lot of the people here have been closely involved in this and have made trips to Washington, D.C. with myself and Eileen and everybody else on the board of directors, trying to get past this Medicare issue of CMS denying coverage for oxygen for cluster headaches. We've been going to DC for close to 10 years just on this specific issue, trying to get them to finally approve oxygen. I mean, honestly, getting oxygen approved has been more frustrating than trying to get LSD or psilocybin approved for cluster headaches. It's the most frustrating thing that I think that I've ever been involved in. CMS finally came out with a changed decision that they were going to offer coverage for oxygen earlier this year, and they put their decision out for public comment, and they are planning on covering it, but there were a couple of issues with their decision that we took issue with, and I appreciate everybody that wrote in the personal comments. I know that we got a lot of comments in. The entire headache advocacy community got behind this push for speaking for the cluster headache community. I mean, you had honestly millions of people interested in this getting approved for cluster headaches. Um, one of the things that was in the decision that they were talking about approving was that it was going to be approved for select patients. So the people were going to need to prove that they needed oxygen and that it was going to work for them. And that certainly isn't something that we think should be in there. If a doctor writes a prescription for oxygen for their cluster headaches, that should be all the proof that they need to pay for it and find out if those people will be able to get help with oxygen. And there are also some questions about whether or not one region would approve it and one region might approve it under different circumstances. So there are some issues with the approval process that we're fighting for still, and hopefully we're going to get them to see the light. So if not, I'm sure we're going to be taking another trip to Washington, D.C. So some of the other advocacy that we have going on, it's a constant for us. I mean, these things are always going on. Back on the oxygen, that working with the Alliance for Headache Disorders Advocacy, which is the group that puts together Headache on the Hill every year and does a lot of other great advocacy work. We will be going back to the Hill February of 2022. We're working on what the different asks will be. Right now, we're thinking that it's probably going to be mostly virtual. Last year was virtual, but we're hoping to at least get a smaller portion of in-person meetings set up. And so it may be kind of a hybrid event, but those are a lot of details that the AHDA is going to have to work out and see how that's going to go. So hopefully we're all going to be able to celebrate this Headache on the Hill with getting oxygen approved. Like I said, it's been a huge issue for everybody in the headache community. One of the other things that is happening, it's a new group called HEADPAN, or Head Pain. The Headache Disease Policy Advocacy Network is being put together, and we've already got a 4-year strategic plan set. And it's kind of an offshoot from AHDA and expand on the work that they're doing. And a lot of it will probably end up being done on a statewide basis rather than federal. But it will cover both. But we're hoping to be able to get down to the state levels with a lot of these things, because the way our healthcare system in the United States is broken down is broken down is a good way to describe it. It's terrible that somebody in one state can get approval for a treatment and somebody in another state can't get approval for whatever reason that state ruled. So everybody's working on different policies and everybody has different struggles. It depends on which state you're in. It depends on whether or not you have health insurance through your work or whether you're on Medicare. If there's 400,000 people in the U.S. with cluster headaches, there's 400,000 different stories about how people are able to get treatments and what it costs them. So that group's going to be able to do a lot of great work. They're already getting set up, and I see great things ahead for that. We've been working a lot with CHAMP. They're a great organization. There's going to be a meeting in October that's already set. And CHAMP has done a great job in keeping cluster headaches out front and center with everybody in the headache advocacy world. And there are a lot of great volunteers and advocates that we work with at CHAMP, and we appreciate everything they do for people with cluster headaches. One of the offshoots of CHAMP is another organization called DIHAC, and I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. And that work has already begun, and I'll explain that. Plus, we still have all of our other partnerships that they're continuing with all of these other different organizations. Most of them we work with through other coalitions such as CHAMP and AHDA and so forth. So we are working with partnerships all over the world and getting the word out. So a lot of that work is moving forward. So, okay. Some of our service expansion, education, and awareness that's going on. We've been working pretty closely with Dr. LaRue in Canada, who works with the large migraine organization in Canada called Migraine Canada. What her purpose is in all of this work is expanding the information that Migraine Canada can get out to cluster headache patients. There's a real issue with getting information out to people in Canada, just like there is everywhere else, but specifically in Canada, they are taking it upon themselves to reach out to the cluster headache community. So we are working with them. We'll be sending out a lot of their information, trying to get together everybody in Canada that has cluster headaches and be able to get them better treatment information. You know, they have the same issues that we have here in the States where, you know, treatment in one province may be different than in another province. And finding headache specialists is difficult in Canada, just like it is here. And finding ones that really know what they're talking about with cluster headaches, that's also really difficult up there. And it's very easy for somebody to be 500 miles away from their doctor that they finally found that knows about cluster headaches. I know I worked with Dr. LaRue on a couple of cluster patients that she had. I mean, she was personally taking care of and finding a local doctor for somebody that was 2,000 miles away from her. She's really dedicated to helping people with cluster headaches. So we're really excited about working with them and expanding services for people in Canada. We've expanded our support group Zoom meetings. We have them sort of broken down now between Eastern, Midwestern, and Western in the U.S., mainly because of time zones. So you don't need to be in New York to join the Eastern group. You can really join any one of those, whichever one is fitting your schedule and time of day. And Yep, they've been working really well. The people that show up really appreciate them. So if you want to continue meetings like this, go ahead and check it out on our website with the Zoom meetings and sign up. And Ainsley does a great job in the EU and the UK with meetings there also. So yep, anytime you want to sign up for one of those meetings, just choose one that fits a time and day for you and get started on that. Once again, you're going to have people that have been around for a long time that can offer advice, and people that are just starting out on their cluster journey. It's a great way to find out who else is dealing with these conditions and what they've found to help them. So back to this DIHAC Council, it's Disparities in Headache Advisory Council that Clusterbusters is a part of, and we got a grant from DIHAC to do outreach to the Asian and Latinx communities in Chicago. We're starting in Chicago mainly because that's where I'm based and we're based, and we're going to be able to work with um, a lot of the advocate organizations in the Chicago area and try to expand our reach. I mean, that's always been a goal of Clusterbusters, is just like this virtual conference, to reach as many people as we possibly can. Um, but there are a lot of issues reaching everyone. Everybody doesn't have Zoom. Everybody, um, you know, doesn't have a lot of access to a lot of the online activities and to find out what other things are going on. A lot of people are in areas where they've never seen a headache specialist, and maybe, um, you know, maybe they don't even know that headache specialists exist. So um, this is a grant that we're already working on and pulling together the program to reach out to other communities, and we're starting small and going to grow from there. We've got a partnership with an organization called Neurology Live, and they will be sharing a lot of cluster headache information on their website, and also will be sharing what they have, um, and interviewing neurologists and things like that. So we'll be sharing information back and forth with that organization. Um, we've also been working really hard on expanding our website and the different information that we provide there. Um, we've really been able to do a lot of work with the library, being able to find different information. And Michelle has been a great help in doing that. So we've got a great webmaster. So it's been exciting building the website and adding more information. You can never have enough information. There's always something else to learn, and treatments are always changing, and um, there's always different types of research going on that people need to know about. It's nice to be able to follow research from beginning to end when a new treatment is available. So I see a question about supporting psychedelic decriminalization in California. Um, this is an issue that we will be getting more and more into as we go. It was sort of um, one of our founding issues with Clusterbusters in the very beginning, whether or not we were going to get involved in the decriminalization fights and legalization. And it really wasn't something that we wanted to get involved in early on. We could have put all of our efforts into that. Um, there are a lot of organizations that do just that and are fighting for that, and there are a lot of great people fighting for decriminalization. That wasn't our main goal. Our main goal was to find the treatments that were really going to work for people. So, but we are getting more and more involved, and Ainsley can talk a little bit more about the progress that she has personally made and different organizations in the UK have made on decriminalization over there. There's really some exciting stuff going on over there with Ainsley. Um, and the decriminalization is really going on bit by bit all over in the United States. I think that there was, the last count was over 100 different cities and municipalities that had already decriminalized psilocybin. Um, and a lot of that is happening because of all the research that's going on. So we're doing our part by doing the research that proves that some of these substances actually do provide medical benefit and are saving lives. So, um, okay, upcoming events. We're certainly planning on a lot of uh, events in the future, and hopefully most of them are going to start being actually attended by people and not just Zoom screens. Um, we've already had to put it off twice, but we're hoping that in 2023 we will have our conference in Milan, Italy. Um, Ainsley and others have already done an awful lot of the prep work, so we're just getting ready. So when people are able to come together again and travel internationally, we really hope that in 2023 we'll be able to hold our first conference in the UK, in the EU. So 2022, the next thing coming up on our schedule is our cocktail party that we've also put off for the last 2 years. And one way or the other, I'm going to go to New York in 2022 if I got to sit out there and have a drink out on that balcony there. But hopefully, some of you will be able to join me. So we are still planning on doing that. You'll be hearing more about that. See, the Cure for Cluster 5K is back on June 25th, 2022. So you can put that onto your schedule for all of you people that like to do 5Ks and fundraise for Clusterbusters. We are going to be doing some more camping soon. I know that Eileen is already doing some scouting, so if anybody has any ideas on great places to go camping, that picture there is of Dan and Rhonda. We actually left them tubing out on the Shenandoah River there. So if anybody hears from them, let me know, because we kind of left them floating there. So we are planning on doing that again soon. Like I said, it was an incredible mini conference, and it was a great time. Go ahead and flip. So the last thing here is, once again, I just want to touch on the community that we are and that all of you are a part of. It was incredible seeing people get together again, and it is the individuals that make up this community and do all the best work. Usually, like I said, one-on-one, and it is an inspiring community. I mean, to be able to see these people and to talk to them and know how much they care about everybody else that is in the community, it's an amazing thing to see. And I hope to be able to see you all again real soon here. So that's about it from me, and I'll be around all weekend and other commenting and things like that. So you can always send me an email, let me know what's going on, anything that I can help with. And I hope you have a great time at the conference this weekend.